Yo, what up, y'all? Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Pax. Now, this video is just gonna be a quick informational video for the diabetics and the pre-diabetics. And this one topic is something that y'all can use to help manage y'all diabetes. First of all, I just want to say diabetes is a very misconcepted sickness, disease, whatever you want to call it, that people have and get. Primarily, they get it when they're kids, genetic, or through diet, bad diet, right? And when that happens when you're older. But diabetes, especially for type 1, meaning you got it at a young age and your pancreas no longer is working, so you have to depend. You're now fully dependent on insulin from outside sources because your body usually gives you insulin through your organ called the pancreas, right? So if you're diabetic, you're type 1, your pancreas is there, but it's just not giving off the body insulin. So now you need to depend on it from either needles with insulin, pens, etc. Now, if you're a diabetic and I'm going to be eating while I do this because I'm always hungry, but if you're a diabetic and your sugars are always high, it could be one or two reasons for the most part, right? To simplify it. You're eating without covering, which means you're not taking the proper amount of insulin, or, which is the second habit, which is the second part, you're eating too much that even though you're covering, you're going to have random spikes or what they call prolonged spikes. So everybody's body's different, by the way, but there's genuine foods or general foods that will affect your blood sugars a lot faster than other foods. And these are basically your simple carbs that are sugary. They break down into sugar a lot easier. High saturated fats that are combined with these carbs. Like if you eat fried chicken, yes, it has protein, but it has a lot of saturated fat and fat. And if you eat that with a bunch of biscuits, let's see them dirty Popeye biscuits with no drink. Say you had a meal like that, your blood sugar, and you took your insulin, your blood sugar is going to spike later. So the first thing you want to do as a diabetic type 1 or even type 2 is you want to manage your meals. And you want to time your meals as well. That can work a lot better because then your body can get used to when you eat. And it knows, the thing is, while your pancreas doesn't work, your body does work off of scheduling. So if you almost eat the same amount of carbs every day at this time, your lunch at this time, your body, your intestines, it knows like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. We're about to eat. So, your body kind of develops good habits or bad habits. And the better your habits are, you can have minimal amounts of high blood sugar spikes. What I do, for example, I try to swap out certain foods. And I want to let y'all know this, right? Back to what I was saying before. The biggest misconception with diabetics is diabetics can't eat sugary foods, which we can. It's just that, especially if you're a sedentary person, or if you don't know how to manage and control high blood sugars, like you're not at an advanced diabetic level of understanding how blood sugars work, It's just safe to say that you shouldn't be eating sugary foods as much because you want to control your blood sugar. Now, remember this, even regular people that don't have diabetes have high blood sugars. It's just that they don't have high blood sugars the way our blood sugars work when they spike because they have a pancreas that's secreting insulin, microdosing insulin over a few hours. So with us, we have to either microdose with either whatever your insulin source is, whether that be a pen, they've got pumps, they've got needles and vials. Um, you have to basically act as a pancreas. And it'll just never be optimal as a pancreas because you can't work as good as a 24-hour, 24/7 functioning pancreas that's working on your own body. So they have this thing called a pump, which gives you continuous insulin, but not even that can work like a pancreas because at the end of the day, your pancreas knows your body because it's in your body, and your pancreas would know how much insulin to give you based on your eating habits, based on your weight, based on how much muscle you have. So everything is like some people don't understand just how fortunate it is for them to have a working pancreas because it is such a very, 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 very important organ that's in the body. And it's not big, but it's very important. So back to what I'm saying. Diabetic people, I think the best thing is one, you should swap certain foods, and they have what I like to call alternatives. Alternatives meaning if you like bread, they have these keto breads and they have these lower carb based breads. They taste pretty good now. Nowadays they have a lot more better options. Lower keto, so they have some keto breads and they just have some low calorie breads. I find that the low calorie breads just taste better than these keto breads because they're just fat based sometimes, or they just taste like they taste so fake. So I go with my favorite one is the Dave's. Let me see if I can actually find if you Dave's Killer Bread. Let's see. This is the one I use. I don't know. Hold on. So I use this one, thin sliced, 2 whole grains, 60 calories or something like that. And this one works great with my blood sugar, right? So that's just an example. That's just another example. So alternative foods. A lot of us like sweet foods. So I always tell people, even if you're not diabetic, like try to swap out candies for sweeter version of fruits, grapes, pineapples, watermelons, apples. Choose. Just there's a lot more benefit in eating fruits than candy. Just to make that very clear. Well, not even candy. Very calorie dense, high caloric foods that are full of sugar and are easy to consume because let's be honest, if you go to the Cheesecake Factory, if any of y'all are watching, I don't know if this is based in other states, but in New York City, they got a place called Cheesecake Factory, and they're notoriously known for their high caloric foods. Now, imagine you have a slice of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. A very, very regular slice. It's like 800 calories, 700 calories. It's something crazy. I don't even know how that works out. And it's like 78, like 100 and something grams of sugar in that one slice. If that was me eating that, I could probably eat 5 slices of that. No problem. I could go 2,000, 3,000 plus calories. Easy. And you can just imagine as a diabetic how much sugar that is. And the problem is, for you to say you were to take an insulin dose that covers 200 grams of carbs, and let's just say you take a lot of insulin, no matter what, you're going to have a high blood sugar spike later on, because as your body digests things, your body doesn't just digest the food right away. So, your body can be digesting those 3,000 calories even 5 hours later. And 5 hours later, your glucose could still be spiking, because the body's trying to, digest that food and, use it for fuel or whatever it is you're doing. So that's why sometimes later as a diabetic, you're like, yo, I took my insulin, but, a common one is I went to sleep and I woke up with a crazy high blood sugar. Well, what did you eat 2 hours before going to bed? That's important to understand. Because as you go to sleep and you're digesting the food doesn't just digest in 1 hour and that's it. The food can be digesting for a long time. So if you say you eat at 9 o'clock and you go to bed at 10, and you ate 5 slices of pizza and a burger, let's just say, all of that food isn't going to be digested in an hour. You took your insulin, which is going to cover you with, let's just say times 10 of 8 hours or 5 hours, whatever it is. As you're sleeping, the insulin may cover your food for that moment, but as your body digests the food, let's just say split up in portions, it digests 10% of the food now, another 10% an hour later, another 10% an hour later. So over the time span of 10 hours, it's digesting those 5 slices of pizza and burgers and wings that you went crazy with. And now your insulin that you have isn't going to be able to adjust for the digestion that's happening through those hours. And so if you're sleeping, you're just going to wake up to a super high blood sugar this is just how to show you how the pancreas works. Let's say your blood sugar is perfectly fine because you took whatever units you needed to, you fall asleep. Now 3 hours later, the digestion is working, your stomach is digesting your food, your body's trying to, use this as energy or whatever it is doing, and now your blood sugar starts to spike a little bit. Now that's when your pancreas in your body starts to, we see it's going up, let's start to give the body a little bit of insulin. And when it gives the body a little bit of insulin, what happens is, the sugar starts to level off. Because your pancreas, while you're sleeping, is still working. Because you're type 1 diabetic, you ain't got no pancreas. So you have to be your pancreas. But because you're sleeping, as soon as your insulin your blood sugar starts to spike, you don't have any insulin to cover it with. And because you don't have any insulin to cover it with, now your blood sugar is just going to continue to spike until now you feel symptoms and you either got to pee, you feel hungry, thirsty, and you get up and you feel terrible and you're like, what's going on? Your blood sugar is high. And so how could we have changed that? Okay, if you like pizza, instead of eating a Domino's pizza, 5 slices, you could eat a cauliflower pizza that's probably 70% less calories for the whole damn pie, because they now have these cauliflower pizza pies that are like 8 slices or like 6 slices out of that, and it's for like 500 calories. It's crazy, 400 calories, you know what I'm saying? And you can eat the whole pie, and that whole pie of cauliflower pizza is equivalent to 2 slices of Domino's pizza, you know what I'm saying? So, obviously it doesn't taste as good as a Domino's pizza, but they have versions that taste good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, as diabetics, we have to kind of just accept that this is the situation we have. It's not to mean that we can't enjoy ourselves, but we just have to enjoy ourselves in different ways. You get what I'm saying? So, I know my point of this video was the biggest things to help you guys kind of micromanage and just manage your diabetes in general. It's to look at the foods you're eating, because at the end of the day, the foods highly impact your blood sugar as well as your insulin coverage, right? So we just talked about the foods that we're eating. We want to go for high protein foods with high fiber for slower digestion to keep our insulin very consistent throughout the day. And more importantly, that's going to keep you full so you're not snacking constantly. Um, and there's another topic I'm going to go into, but that'll be for another video, which is athletes or type 1 diabetics. And that's a whole different story as to how your blood sugars will be affected. But just for the general population, I know most of you guys aren't crazy athletes, so you don't have to too much worry about that. High fiber foods, high protein foods. You want to go for good fats because I know one of the misconceptions that diabetics have is just carbs are what spike your blood sugar, but there is what they call delayed insulin spikes that also can come from proteins and fats, because when you get a lot of proteins that the body can't kind of use all at once, say you eat, and before I even go into that topic, I'm just going to make this a quick note. There's only so much protein that we can eat. There's only so much protein you can eat in one day that your body's actually going to use for muscle, right? So what does that mean? The usual standard nutrition for muscle growth is, if you want to be on the higher end, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you need 1 gram of protein per pound, which is 200 grams of protein. Now, on the other extent, if you're obese and say you're 400 pounds, we'll use your goal weight. If you're trying to be 250 from 400, you'll eat 250 grams of protein, because there's some people are under the this myth that if you eat as much protein as you can, you're gonna gain more muscle. And remember, there's diminishing returns, which kind of just means either you overdo it, so you're now kind of, instead of progressing, you're regressing. And there's another part to it where you're just not going to get anything more than what is needed. So there's like a threshold where you're just doing a lot more and you're getting very minimal or no results. So I tell a lot of people that ask me questions about nutrition is, just eat 1 pound, about 0.8 to, or even if you want to be on the lower end, 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And that'll keep you at a full, healthy protein goal to make sure that your muscles are building optimally. Now, back to what I was saying, just had to put that out there. The prolonged spikes that happen is from protein too, because if you overeat protein and your body's not using it optimally anymore, what that will do is it'll break down into sugar. And a lot of people don't know that, but it's a true thing. Protein, because even people that do those keto diets, if they're eating too much protein, it can actually break down into sugar, and some of them don't know it can kick them out of their keto stage or state that their body is in. But let's not get off track here, guys. Another thing you guys got to understand is, when, as a diabetic, you have to understand that everybody's diabetic lifestyle will be different. Everybody's diabetic stage will be different. And so it's not always good to just compare yourself to another diabetic. There's diabetics online that are super fit, super built. It's always important not to look at that perspective. Look at it as motivation and discipline, more importantly, to, okay, I want to get my life like that. But don't revolve yourself in a section where it's like, oh, I see this guy online, he's ripped, he's a diabetic, he looks like a beast, or she looks like a beast, I have to get like that. She's running a marathon. Remember this, The important thing about any type of progression is making it a progression that you can do optimally. So that means you actually see long-term results, because if you go into something too extreme, you will put your body under a lot of stress, right? And it'll kind of create very toxic uh, mental and psychological, especially when it comes to food and nutrition and diet and these things. It'll kind of cause a bad relationship. You want to progress slowly but surely. As a Caribbean, we have a saying which is, the race is not for the swift but those who can endure. And all that means is, it's not about how fast you're doing this. It's about, can you do this for the rest of your life? Can you do this for a long time? So you need to find something that works for you, find foods that work for you. More importantly, make sure that you're taking your insulin on time. For diabetics, I would always recommend, for the most part, unless you're an extreme athlete, make sure before you're eating, try to pre-bolus. Especially if you're, let's just say, in a normal environment where you're not like working out or anything. Try to take that insulin 15 minutes. That way your insulin is kind of working in your system. That as you start eating and the food starts digesting, that insulin will kind of, let's just say this is the insulin and this is the food, and I inject myself, boom, it goes in my body, now it's working. As soon as you eat, which is 15 to 20 minutes later, because there's a time period before the insulin actually starts being active in your system. So you don't have to worry about, once you inject yourself right away, you're just gonna get low. There is a little time period. There's fast acting insulin and there's a bunch of other insulins, but for most of you guys, you're probably using some type of fast acting insulin. So within 15 minutes, it should be in your body, it should be in your system working. By the time you start eating, the insulin will be able to combat the food that you're eating. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing, diabetics. Try to, if you guys can, take what they call pre-bolus. Take that insulin 15 to 20 minutes before your meal. So listen, I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to keep you guys here with this prolonged preaching about diabetes, but it's very important as diabetics to understand that we have to make sure we take control of our lives by being in control of our lives. And it's the simplest things are always the hardest. Just look at it that way. And once you can get the discipline in your mind, understand that, you'll see that it's not as hard as it seems, but starting it is the hardest part. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys were, if you guys were bad diabetics, and I don't even want to say bad diabetics, but you weren't following your doctor's orders and you were just eating out 24/7, that's cool. It's fine. What's important is that you make the change needed, because I want you guys to live for a long time. I don't want you guys to be in the hospital. I don't want you guys to have experiences that I've had, like bad experiences, and this is all coming from personal experiences that I've had. I want you guys to have the best, healthiest, and most longevity kind of lifestyle that you guys can have, because who doesn't want to live long, and who doesn't want to enjoy their life? You don't want to have high blood sugars all day. You don't want to have low blood sugars all day. You don't want to have uncontrolled blood sugars all day, because as a diabetic, our blood sugars kind of almost dictate how our day is going to be. And some of you don't realize that how your blood sugar starts in the morning can much have an effect all the way through your entire day. So if you start your day on a nice, structured, nice blood sugar with proper eating, exercise, and just being active, man, you're gonna realize, like, wow, why wasn't I doing this before? Like, I feel a lot better. I'm not crashing. I'm not feeling sick. So listen, hope y'all got something from this video. I hope it did you some justice. And the next video is going to be me in the, I guess we're going to call them cycling tights. You know, I don't really like those tights as much. They squeeze up your balls. I'm saying I ain't into all that ball squeezing thing. But stay tuned for the next video.